This past December marked 2 years of sobriety for me, and today I wanted to share what has changed for me in that time and how it has affected my creativity and just my life overall as a human. So if you're new here, my name is Erin, and I make videos about mindfulness and self-care, creativity, and something that is a big part of my life that I haven't talked about yet is sobriety. My journey with sobriety has been something that I've grappled with for a long time because I've never been someone who has like a major problem with drinking or drugs. I just have always been sort of a social user of those things, and it occurred to me that it was still a problem even though I wasn't abusing them like some people do. I started using those things and experimenting with them at a really young age, like long before it was okay for me to do so. I was hanging out with a crowd where it was really easy to get substances, and it kind of became a big part of my life when I was really young. And that led to me trying to get sober around like 21 or 22. And I think that I did for maybe like 6 months. I stopped drinking or doing anything. It stuck for a while, and then I was like, okay, I don't really like have an issue with this, so I'm just gonna allow myself to, casually drink or have a beer after work with people or whatever. So I kind of went back into my normal cycle, and that would lead to me making poor choices and dangerous choices. I kind of just existed in a up and down cycle over the years of editing. Erin here. The microphone does this crackling thing a few times in this video, so I'm sorry if that's annoying. I'm definitely going to get a different microphone, but just warning you, that happens a few times. So it spirals slowly for some people. Some people, it's like you clearly have a problem and you can see it from a mile away. And for some people, like me, it creeps on and it's a lot more subtle. And that can be really scary because you don't realize it until you're faced with it. So my point in talking about all of this is mostly to share my experience with other people and how it has affected me positively, because getting sober ultimately was like the best thing I've ever done for myself. And I wanted to make this video a lot closer to my actual sober date, but I was literally in the middle of moving. I'm in my new art studio now, which is really exciting, and I have a whole room to myself dedicated to that, which is a dream. So a lot of my personal story around sobriety does include other people that are still with us and still very much a positive part of my life, and I'm not going to really get into that part of it too much. What I will say about it is that seeing other people that you love struggle with their sobriety in a really painful and dark way sometimes is all the motivation you need to get sober. For me, however, I was seeing people that I love in my family and outside of my family struggle, and I was helping them with their struggle, and I started to see qualities in myself that I saw in them when it came to my drinking. Or drinking alone at home and needing to drink to get to sleep, and going out for drinks and not being able to limit myself to what was safe for me to still drive myself home, and just overall relying on it, especially in times of stress or in times where it was getting tough. I was definitely leaning on drinking. And so my last time that I drank was Christmas Eve 2 years ago, and I hadn't really had that much to drink, but something just clicked in me, and I woke up on Christmas morning and I decided that I was going to try not drinking for a while. And now it's been over 2 years. So many things have changed for me since then. I moved from Washington to California, which is something that I've wanted to do for so long. I have so much family in California that I've never lived near, and I've wanted to live here for a very long time and get to know them better and know that side of my family better. And I've wanted to live somewhere that's sunny for a long time, and I have that now. I love Seattle, but I lived there my entire life, and it's so dark and cold so many months out of the year. It was starting to really take a toll on me and my mental health. And I think it also contributed to my drinking a lot. But without stopping drinking, I don't know that I would have taken the initiative to move to California. I also have started a creative practice and a mindfulness practice that I probably never would have started without not drinking. I do all kinds of creative things now that I didn't do before because I was dimming my light. I've also gotten a much better handle on my ADHD. I was diagnosed with ADHD maybe 6 months before I decided to stop drinking. And that really, I think, started my journey of like wanting to do healthy things for myself. I ended up getting on medication for ADHD. I ended up getting out of a relationship that was no longer serving me and moving into my own apartment, and then deciding I wanted to move to California. So it really propelled growth for me, and it inspired me and gave me the space to really deal with my ADHD and figure out how to work with it as a person with it. So that's in a nutshell my personal story. So now I'll go into a little bit more about how it has helped me and how I think it can help other people, especially other creative people. I think that there's sort of a vibe around creativity and substance use where a lot of people who are in it think that they need that in order to get their creative juices flowing, which I think is all too common of a narrative, and it's not the case. Honestly, I've been able to learn and grow more as an artist not drinking than I ever could have without being sober. And I think that's because I'm more of my true self now rather than before, when I was really, putting myself in a box and limiting my capabilities. A lot of my growth in sobriety can be attributed to the mindfulness practice that I've built around it. So I now meditate and exercise and read on a daily basis. The only one that I can be a little iffy on sometimes is the reading, but meditating and exercising every day is a permanent part of my routine at this point. I wake up and I make some matcha. Right now I'm drinking coffee because it's that time, but I wake up and I exercise for usually 20 to 30 minutes, and I like to do Pilates and yoga and sometimes like a HIIT workout, and then I meditate, and I use a meditation app for that because there are a lot of different guided meditations. There's like tonal sounds, or you can just use like a timer on there. I use Insight Timer as my meditation app. The free version of Insight Timer is excellent because there's so much that you have access to. Meditation is a subject that a lot of people struggle with. I think it can be kind of intimidating for people to meditate because you think that you have to like shut off your thoughts, but really it's about recognizing your thoughts as they come by and not giving them much power or weight, and continuing to maintain your focus on your breath and your body and just sitting in silence. It is a great tool for sobriety, especially because it helps you in those moments of weakness. It helps you remember why you're doing this for yourself. So if there's one thing that I could recommend, it's meditation. The other would be the exercise that I do daily, because I have days where I wake up and I feel rough and I don't feel great mentally. Exercising picks me up so quickly and it makes me feel better so quickly. I wouldn't be where I'm at without it. And it's not really even about like getting fit or like a specific fitness goal. I'm doing it because it makes me feel better. And I genuinely believe that feeling better will propel you forward. in your growth. Reading is something that I really, really recommend and stick to. And I used to like to read fiction a lot. I've found in the last couple of years I really like to read like self-growth books. A couple that I have really enjoyed, I will link down below. They have really opened my eyes and my mind to growing myself. I really think that reading is something that is so beneficial to our mental health. And if you don't have time to sit down and read, or you can't make time, audiobooks honestly are great. You can listen to them while you exercise. You can listen to them while you're working if you have that type of job. So audiobooks can be an excellent resource too. Something else that is very helpful is journaling. And it doesn't have to be the type of journaling where you're like, this is what I did today. What I like to do is stream of consciousness writing. I usually set a timer or set like a number of pages that I want to write, and I will do like 10 minutes or like a page or 2 or 3 pages. I usually find that it's about 10 minutes per page, but I just will write down exactly what I'm thinking. And it can make no sense at all, but I will find at the end that my brain is so much clearer after doing this. And it's really helpful for clearing my head and helping me focus during the day. And if you're having a lot of like difficult thoughts surrounding sobriety, it can be a really great way to kind of get those thoughts down on paper and give them a little bit less power. Because I think when thoughts are floating around in our head and we're fixating on them and we're not saying them out loud to anybody, we're not writing them down, then they have a lot more power over us than if we were to just see them for what they are. That does lead into the idea of therapy, which I utilized early on in my journey and have kind of gotten to the point where I haven't really needed it in a while. But I think that for some people, it can be a really excellent thing and it can help them a lot. And there are a lot of different ways to get therapy. I know there's apps like BetterHelp, there's in-person therapy. There are a lot of different options for that. So if that is something that you think might benefit you, I think it's great. Sobriety comes with some excellent like physical and mental health benefits that not only help with creativity and being an artist or a creative person, but also just help with everyday life. There's the obvious like medical health benefits. Alcohol and drugs can cause all kinds of health problems, heart problems, problems with your brain, problems with your liver, kidneys, everything, digestion. And the mental health benefits are undeniable also. So for me, I was finding that I was getting like really depressed, like especially the day after drinking or even the night of drinking, I would get super depressed. And it took me a little while to like make the connection between what I was consuming and what was happening with my brain. But once I realized it and once I stopped, I had like a crazy improvement in my mental health. And I did not find that it negatively impacted my creativity at all. In fact, I felt that it really improved it. I think that when our mental health is at the best is when we create the most authentic work and the most uplifting work. There were years actually before getting sober where I didn't create at all. And now I'm creating in a bunch of different ways. Right now I'm getting into making videos. I've been painting, drawing, printmaking, all kinds of things. So I think it really helps with creativity. Something that I think helps with maintaining sobriety, aside from everything that I've talked about already, is having just like the right people around you. For some people, that can look like going to AA or NA meetings. I have been to some meetings. I had a friend who struggled a lot with I had a friend who I would go to NA meetings with sometimes, and I went to AA meetings also a little bit after I stopped drinking. My friend that I'm talking about didn't make it So that's why it's a little difficult to talk about that one, but okay. Al-Anon is a great resource for people that are like friends and family of people in recovery or in active addiction. AA and NA are great for people that need it, and a lot of people rely on a lot of different supports. So it could be another person in your life that's sober, it could be a sponsor, it could be a family member, your therapist, your doctor can be a great person to go to, or people on the internet that are also experiencing the same thing that you are. There's so many people out there that are going through the same thing that you are. And if you reach out, you'll find community no matter what you're going through. And it's a tough subject because there are a lot of people that don't have support, and there's a lot of people that don't think that they have support, or it doesn't matter how much support they have, it's not enough for them. If you are really struggling with substance use, the root of it is mental health, almost always. And things that will help your mental health are going to be your best friend in this time. No matter what you think or feel, there are people out there that are going through the same thing that you are. And there's people out there that want to help, that want to build a community with you. So having people in your corner is more possible than you think. And if you don't have family and friends that understand, there are groups out there to get the community that you need. Don't think for a second that there's not something out there for you to get support. Specifically in the creative community, there are so many creative people that have gone through this and that have come out the other side. And if you go anywhere in the artistic community, you'll find people that have found that they needed to be sober. There's such a welcoming group there. And I've found that going to art galleries and like shows and stuff, like music concerts, if you just talk to people, you'll find more sober people than you would expect. And it can be really surprising, but a lot of people have been through this, and it's so common to go through these issues. I will link down below some websites that you can go to find meetings or support in any way, whatever way you need to. There are things that are going to test you, and there's things that are going to make it really difficult sometimes. And there are things that are going to come up that are going to trigger you, or there's cravings. There are times where you are going to want to revert back to that as a coping mechanism. And you have to have some tools in place to help you through those times. A lot of those tools are things that you can develop in therapy or at groups or in your mindfulness practice. If you're meditating, to go back to that, it really helps you develop tools that nobody else can give you, nobody can take away from you. Meditating on a regular basis literally changes the chemicals in your brain. It changes the way that you process difficult situations. Going back to those tools in times of difficulty can be so powerful. So something that I think works really well is when you are having a moment of feeling really great about sobriety and you're feeling really powerful and good about it, is writing about that. Literally writing, like, when I am feeling like this isn't possible, I'm going to come back and read this and write about how you're feeling in that moment. Write about how it feels to wake up in the morning without feeling like shit, or it feels to create artwork with a clear mind and from a happier place, or how it feels to do something that you love and be 100% present while doing so, rather than being foggy from drinking the night before or being messed up while you're doing it. Also, breathing techniques can be really helpful, like box breathing. Literally, you inhale for a number of seconds. Usually I do like 4 seconds in, hold for 4 seconds, and then 4 seconds out. It can be a really powerful tool for kind of recentering your brain and refocusing from all those like things that you're thinking about, or that craving or that trigger that is happening. So literally breathing through it can be a really great tool. Reverting your attention attention from whatever is happening. So if you're in a situation where you're feeling pressure, whether intentional or not, or you're feeling triggered or something, getting yourself out of the situation. For some people, like for me, I can go out and be around people that are drinking, and that's fine. At this point, it doesn't make me want to drink, but especially early in your sobriety journey, that can be really hard. And if you are in that situation and you're finding that it's overpoweringly difficult for you, get out of the situation, whether that means just going outside for a breather or whether that means that you have to go home. Maintaining your sobriety and your sanity in that moment is more important than that social interaction. And sometimes you do have to remove yourself from a situation. I think that these challenges obviously come up in a lot of different areas of life. No matter what you do or what industry you're in or what your community looks like, those things can come up. But I also feel like it is so prevalent in the creative community. So we have to be really strong in those moments when we're faced with a social situation where it's kind of like expected to drink or to do whatever it is. And unfortunately, there are going to be times where you have to remove yourself from the situation if it's too difficult. But one of the biggest things for me that I have realized, and I really haven't had a lot of losses in this arena, but I have had some, and I know a lot of people have a lot more. You will lose people in your life because you are sober, and they will stop inviting you to hang out because either from a good place where they think they're protecting you, or from a place of like they don't know how to hang out outside of drinking and partying. And those losses, although they can be painful, are just you shedding that skin of that part of your life. And those people, you just sometimes have to let them go. If it's someone that you really value and care about and you think that they're coming from a place of trying to protect you, it's worth talking to them about it and, having a conversation of like, hey, I noticed that you're not inviting me out as much. Like, is that because I'm sober? And a lot of the time it is. And a lot of the time they're really just trying to protect you and they think you're going to get triggered in a certain situation. And if you are, then maybe come up with ways to hang out with them that are not those situations. But if you're not, then make that clear to them that you're still able to go out and do these things even though you're sober. So there's a lot of different ways to go about that, and you really just have to know your limitations and your comfort level and what will help you stay sober and in recovery. Being in recovery can mean a lot of different things. Everyone can tolerate different levels of recovery. Maybe someone needs to stop drinking, but they're still able to use cannabis. Maybe someone needs to stop using opioids, but they're still able to drink casually every once in a while. So it really is, it's all over the board. And just because I'm using the term sobriety doesn't mean that sobriety has to look like it does for me, for you. It can look different for everyone. And I think that the most important part of that is having a clear boundary and like know what it means for you and know what you can and cannot allow yourself to do. Because even though for me, I choose just full sobriety, I don't use any drugs, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I drink coffee, I still drink caffeine, but outside of that, like I don't consume any substances. But for someone else, it could look totally different. And I think the main thing is knowing yourself and knowing what your limitations are. One of the things that has gotten me through it the best is celebrating milestones. And those milestones are small at first. It's 24 hours sober or a week sober or a month, but allowing yourself to celebrate those things is really important. And I think that it's easy to get bogged down by thinking that it's not enough. So allowing yourself to celebrate those wins, go out on like a little self date or post about it on social media. Just giving yourself those little like boosts of encouragement when you reach a milestone is more powerful than you might think, and can be so encouraging and just a reminder of how far you've come. And posting about sobriety on social media can sound scary, but I will tell you, even though most of the people in my life are not sober, I've gotten so much encouragement just from those little things that I have put out there about it. And most of the people in my life don't know my full journey, but even if somebody doesn't fully understand your journey, if they're in your life for the right reason, they're going to encourage you no matter what. So I'd love to encourage you guys to discuss down below in the comments like where you're at on your sobriety journey, or if you have someone else in your life that's on this path or is struggling with substance use, talk about it down below if you feel comfortable. There are so many different facets of this community, and it's such a massive problem in the world right now, and it has been for a long time, but never as bad as it is right now. So I'd love it if you guys would discuss down below, if you're sober, how has that affected your creativity? And if you want to become sober but you're struggling with it, what are you struggling with? What's holding you back? And if you have someone else in your life that's having a tough time with this, there's community there for you as well. And I have been there helping somebody who's in this. I can make a whole other video about helping somebody who's struggling if you would like. But the main thing about that, just to touch on it briefly, is you can be there for somebody and you should be there for them. Make sure they know that you're there for them, but remember to take care of yourself. And just know that people have to come to this decision ultimately on their own, unfortunately, and you can't force anybody to be sober. If someone's not ready, then they're gonna have to find their own path. That's all that I'll say on that part of it for now, because that's a whole other subject, but something that I have massive experience in. So please discuss in the comments below about your experience. I'd love to hear about it and talk to you guys about it. And take care of yourselves out there, and just know there are so many resources out there for you. I almost forgot to mention too, I created a 30-day mindful mornings challenge that will help you kind of develop a healthy and mindful morning routine around meditating, exercising, reading, and writing. And I will leave the link to that down below. It's a free download, so if you'd like to check it out, it will be down there for you. So I'll talk to you guys again soon. Bye.